will be reading to you part of Beowulf as translated by Tolkien. Thereafter was fortune in war vouchsafed to Hrothgar, and glory in battle, that the vassals of his own kindred hearkened willingly unto him, and the numbers of his young warriors grew to a mighty company of men. Then it came into his heart that he would command men to fashion a hall and a mansion, a mightier house for their mead drinking than the children of men had ever known, and there within would be a portion of all things to young and old, such as God had granted him, save the people's land and the lives of men. Then have I heard that far and wide to many kindred on this middle earth was that work proclaimed, the adorning of that dwelling of men. In a while, swiftly among men it came to pass for him that all was made ready, the greatest of houses and halls. For it he devised the name of Heorot, even he whose word far and wide was law. His vow he belied not, the rings he dealt, and the treasure at the feast. The hall towered high with horned gables wide, awaiting the warring billows of destroying fire. The time was not far off that between father and daughter's spouse murderous hate in the memory of a deadly feud should awaken again. Then the fierce spirit that abode in darkness grievously endured a time of torment. In that day after day he heard the din of revelry echoing in the hall. There was the sound of harp and clear singing of the minstrel. There spake he that first knowledge to unfold from far-off days the first beginning of men, telling how the Almighty wrought the earth, a veil of bright loveliness that the waters encircle, how triumphant he set the radiance of the sun and moon as a light for the dwellers in the lands, and adorned the regions of the world with boughs and with leaves. Life too he devised for every kind that moves and lives. Even thus did the men of that company live in mirth and happiness, until one began to work deeds of wrong, a fiend of hell. Grendel was that grim creature called, the ill-famed hunter of the marches of the land, who kept the moors, the fastness of the fens, and, unhappy one, inhabited long while the troll-kind's home. For the Maker had proscribed him with the race of Cain. That bloodshed, for that Cain slew Abel, the eternal Lord avenged. No joy had he of the violent deed, but God drove him for that crime far from mankind. Of him all evil broods were born, ogres and goblins in haunting shapes of hell, and the giants too, that long time warred with God, for that he gave them their reward. Then went Grendel forth when night was come to spy on that lofty house, to see how the ring-danes after the ale-drinking had ordered their abode in it, and he found therein a lordly company after their feasting, sleeping, sorrow they knew not, the unhappy fate of men. That accursed thing, ravenous and grim, swift was ready, 30 nights he seized upon their couch, faring homeward with his glut of murder to seek his lairs. Thereafter at dawn with the first light of day, with Grendel's strength in battle made plain to men, then was weeping after feasting upraised, a mighty cry at morn. The glorious king, their prince proven of old, joyless sat, his stout and valiant heart suffered and endured sorrow for his nights, when men had scanned the footprints of that foe, that demon cursed. Too bitter was that strife, too dire and weary to endure. Nor was it longer in space than but one night, ere he wrought again cruel murders more, and grieved not for them his deeds of enmity and wrong, too deep was he therein. Thereafter not far to seek was the man who elsewhere more remote sought him his couch and bed among the lesser chambers, since now was manifested and declared thus truly to him, with token plain, the hatred of that hall-keeper. Thereafter he who escaped the foe kept him more distant and more safe. Even thus did one lord it, and against right make war, alone against them all, till empty stood that best of houses. Long was the while. 12 winters' space the Scyldings' dear lord endured anguish, and every woe and sorrow deep. So it was made known to men and revealed to the children of mankind sadly in songs that Grendel strove a while with Hrothgar, wrought hate and malice, evil deeds and enmity for many a year, a strife unceasing. Truce he would not have with any man of that Danish host, nor would he withhold his deadly cruelty, nor accept terms of payment. And there no cause had any of the counsellors to look for gold recompense from the slayer's hands. Nay, the fierce killer pursued them still, both knights and young, the dark shadow of death lurking, lying in wait in long night, keeping the misty moors. Men knew not whither sorcerers of hell in their wanderings roam. Thus many a deed of evil that foe of men stalking dreadfully alone did often work, many a grievous outrage. In Heorot's hall, bright with gems in the dark nights he dwelt. Never might he approach the precious throne of grace in the presence of God, nor did he know his will. That was great torment to the Scyldings' lord, anguish of heart. Many a mighty one sat oft communing, counsel they took what it were best for stout-hearted men to do against these dire terrors.